It looks like Steph Curry may have just found his second star we've been talking about.
They say opposites attract in a lot of ways in life, and I don't think I could be a better compliment to him and vice versa, in the sense that they're not leaving him ever. Probably two people would never leave him, so there's so much space for everybody else, and I get the easy job.
Why Jimmy and Steph made it look easy and should make you, Warriors fans, believe.
Who cares now? Because I'm here, and I would like to think that I am wanted here.
Most importantly, he a dog.
We got 4 championships.
You are Locked On Warriors,
I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Speculation is just what it is now.
Your team every day.
Yo, what is the good word? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors. You can check us out many different ways. We are free and available wherever you get your audio podcasts. We are also streaming live on YouTube. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the show for Golden State Warriors content your way throughout the clock, even on Super Bowl Sunday. This is Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you're a new customer, you can get 150 in bonus bets instantly if your first $5 bet wins. We do have a newsletter. It's lockedondaily.com. You enter your email, and that Warriors newsletter will be sent to your email for free. My name's Charlie Walter, formerly of 95.7 The Game. That is the flagship station for the Golden State Warriors in the Bay Area. Also covered the team in their title run. 3 seasons. Saw the championship in 21-22, reporting for CBS News Bay Area. Call letters are KPIX. On today's show, opposites attract. Why Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler may just work. Forget may. It's going to work, everyone. We saw the secret sauce yesterday. It is going to work. Now, obviously, the question becomes, can we get this for years? Because they've inked Jimmy Butler up to $121 million, and you want your money's worth. But this year, it looks better than it did 72 hours ago. It looks better than it did 72 hours ago. Let's start with what Jimmy Butler brings to the table that Andrew Wiggins does not. And I was slightly skeptical. I'll call myself an idiot right now. I don't know ball. I'll say it. I'll scream it to the heavens. Kolsky was the one, as a former Bulls guy. Kolsky had seen many, many Jimmy Butler games. I, meanwhile, was working in the Bay Area, and my knowledge of Jimmy Butler was through highlights and the occasional times that we saw a team from the Eastern time zone take on the Golden State Warriors. I mean, typically I was like hopping on Bart when, he was playing for either the Wolves, the Heat, or the Chicago Bulls. You're not watching a ton of Eastern time zone games. And then the seasons that he did go off, specifically 21-22, when he brought them to that Eastern Conference championship against the Boston Celtics, that was the year, we finally started dissecting that on the radio, because we were going to see whether it was Boston or whether it was Miami in the finals. And I guess 2 years have gone by, and I forgot how high we all were on Jimmy Butler then. But erroneous, irrelevant. I was slightly skeptical, and not necessarily due to the play from Jimmy. We all know what he can do as a player. It's more so the timing. 35 years of age, ankle issues, depending on who you ask, attitude issues, although he seems pretty chill to me, quite frankly. I get a beer with him. And he came with a coffee with him, and came with a very steep price tag. Very steep. But let's forget the price tag. That's for down the road. It ain't my money, and they made it work for now. Let's talk about how Butler impacts this team. He's almost the antithesis of Andrew Wiggins. Andrew was safe. You knew what you were getting. He's durable. He's not causing any issues. His contract isn't going to be a reason your franchise falls off a cliff. But while he was safe, the team as a whole was subpar with Andrew Wiggins at the number 2. Not Wiggins' fault by any means. And the reason it worked out so well in 21-22 with Wiggins as a number 2 is because you had multiple number 2s. You had Klay Thompson. You had Jordan Poole. You had Draymond Green being the cerebral number 2. You put all those things together, and it worked. But the team they have right now, it did not work with Wiggins at the number 2. And to the Heat fans watching, you're getting a good one, man. You're getting a good one. But I saw one game from Jimmy Butler It'd been like a month since he'd played. Played like 5 games since Christmas, and I am already convinced that Jimmy's game is going to work better in this system. Disclaimer, it's the honeymoon phase. We all know how the honeymoon phase goes, but we're also in a phase where we got a guy that, like I said, was out of shape. He'd played 5 games since Christmas and came in and balled. 25 points in his first game for the Warriors, got to the free throw line 13 times and nailed 11 of them. Hop in the comments on today's show. We'll be featuring some of your comments, and be sure to join the community with a subscribe wherever you get your audio podcasts and on YouTube. Jimmy's first basket was a thing of beauty. A backdoor alley-oop. And we've seen Wiggins score off the backdoor cuts. I mean, specifically, I can think of a few in just the last few weeks where he went backdoor and laid it up and in. So not trying to slander his game by saying backdoor alley-oop. When's Wiggins doing that? But I think that play reiterated that Jimmy is going to be much better at making things happen without the ball in his hands than Andrew Wiggins. Fair? Wiggins, to me, was more of like a finesse guy, and they needed another junkyard dog. Wiggins was great from 3, 38%, but with no Clay and no Poole, this team didn't have the manpower to win that way anymore. The shooting threes at a 50-time clip per game, it was way too feast or famine. You just did not have the manpower to win consistently that way. Now, we've seen them beat Oklahoma City twice. They could win games, but they weren't going to do it consistently. When the playoff comes around, you have to do it every single game. Steve Kerr called Jimmy Butler a lion. I mean, we're replacing finesse with fire here. We're getting a dog. We need more dogs. And now you have that second option that may only shoot 1 or 2 threes per game. He's on the attack at all times, which is going to lead to kickouts, better rhythm looks. And Butler has always been a better assist player than Andrew Wiggins. I mean, you go through the numbers. You got, 5 last night? He'll get you 8. He'll get you triple doubles from time to time. Like, he does it all. Is he great at anything? I mean, he's great at leading. He's great at being competitive. He's great at finishing around the basket. He's great at a ton of things. But specifically, he's great at the little things. And you add all the little things up together, and it makes a complete basketball player that just changes the game with Steph Curry on the team. And the secret sauce we've talked about all season, the Warriors win every single game when they have more than 30 assists. They had 34 in Butler's first game in a Warriors jersey. Coincidence? I don't think so. A lot of it has to do with everyone was making shots. Pods was hot. Quentin Post was balling. Steph was 8 of 16, 50% from deep. Buddy was knocking down threes. That does help. But I think we're going to see that secret sauce on the menu more often moving forward. 25-point Jimmy in his first game in weeks. Sleepwalked his way to 25 points. He said after the game that he was out of shape. It took him a while to get into it. This is a new system. Granted, it has some similarities to the Heat, but brand new team. And he comes out the first game and sleepwalks his way to 25 points. I asked on the last show, like, how much better is he than Andrew Wiggins? That was my big holdup with the trade. It was like, okay, right now, yes, your team is better, but you're bringing in a 35-year-old, and the elasticity and the muscles or whatever you want to get into with aging athletes, like the bodies break down quicker than they did at one point. And that to me was the main reason that I said, are you getting that much better? Because you're getting Andrew Wiggins every single night. How often are you going to get Jimmy Butler? I got a call from a buddy that's a Jimmy Butler stan. He's from Milwaukee. He's a Bucks fan, but Butler was his favorite player at Marquette, and outside of his Bucks, my friend's favorite team is whoever Jimmy is on. He's followed him throughout his career. He's got his jersey from 22jerseys.com, whatever it may be. He's got them in every form possible, even all-star jerseys. And he was like, dude, you need to get hyped. No more going on this Locked On Warriors show and saying you're skeptical. You need to change your tune right now so you don't sound like a moron. And I said, all right, give me the reasonings. He's like, dude, Butler was scoring 17 and didn't even want to be in Miami. He was just running through the motions. And he's a competitor. So Butler's always trying. But that extra juice that he brings He wasn't bringing it for a team that didn't fully value him. He knew that Miami wanted him gone. Whether Pat Riley would say it or not, he knew that that marriage was unsalvageable. Divorce papers had been filed a minute ago. Warriors, meanwhile, were almost desperate for Jimmy. He knows they need him. They paid Butler. The Warriors paid Butler like they need him. Jimmy Butler's done a lot in his career. He's never won a championship. He's now playing with Steph Curry, a guy that's got 4 rings, 4 of them. He's taking notes. He's giving notes. He's competitive. He wants to win. So I asked about the ankle and his age. And before I could even get through my objections, the dude told me, his name's Seamus, by the way. Seamus. Guy could get to the charity stripe 10 times with a bad knee. And he's best with shooters around him. And I'm thinking, all right, Curry, Buddy, Pods, Post. It's going to help those guys significantly. Case in point, Jimmy is smart. He's going to make the right play. And I think Steve Kerr said it best after the game. All the attributes and talent that Jimmy Butler brings to this team, the one attribute that stands out the most, willing passer, a good passer. That's what this offense needed. Inside out. We've been saying it for a while. We thought the inside out was from a back-to-the-back basket guy, a back-to-the-basket big guy. We thought it was Vooch. Thank God it's not Vooch. And it's Jimmy Butler, because he could play inside out and can really do it all. From the perimeter, from the high post. He will make passes everywhere. Hard screens. Love what I saw. I gave him an A-plus performance from his first game, where the Warriors were down 24 and ended up beating the Bulls by 21. Down 24, beat them by 21. So much talk about Jimmy, and we're barely uttering Steph's name, who clearly enjoyed playing with Jimmy based on Curry's body language. How's Jimmy going to fit in as the new second star? That is coming up next on Locked On Warriors.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
All right, we also need more underwear, everyone. I've been saying this for years, and when I found out SKIMS was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try, and let me tell you what, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear, fit, comfort, or just finding the right style for me. SKIMS changed it all. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. My favorite is the Stretch 5 boxer brief. I've been talking about this since the day that I laid buns on them. As you know, and you may not know, I try to work out 5 days a week. Now, this past week, Kylan's sick. She's got the flu. So I've only been able to go once. My workouts have been bringing her chicken noodle soup. But I will say this. I've never liked wearing that synthetic feeling workout underwear. Never. And when I tried SKIMS Stretch 5 boxer briefs, I felt like it was the missing link. I had all the movement. I had the swank. I added 5 pounds onto my squat, 10 pounds actually onto my squat. It is good stuff. They also have the Cotton 3 boxer brief, the Stretch 3 boxer brief for traveling, just all sorts of stuff that fit into your lifestyle. So shop SKIMS Mens at skims.com and SKIMS stores. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey, select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. It's a very good way to support the show. And let's get real, everyone. You can never have enough underwear. And if you're looking for the perfect gift for your Valentine or for someone else, ladies watching the show, SKIMS just launched their best Valentine shop ever, available in sizes for men and women and kids and even pets. Whoa! Skims.com is where you find it. Back to the show.
Who cares now? Because I'm here, and I would like to think that I am wanted here.
Jimmy Butler definitely wanted for the Golden State Warriors. This coming after a long, drawn-out saga with the Miami Heat that was just a difference in philosophies between the veteran GM, Pat Riley, the executive, Pat Riley, and then Jimmy Butler. It got to the point where everything Jimmy was trying to do, Pat was vetoing. Jimmy's like, hey, I don't want to go on road trips when I'm hurt. I want to stay at the facility in Miami and train because we have better amenities than the hotel gyms. Pat said, no, you're coming with the team. Jimmy had been doing rideshare to games for a long time, it sounded like. And Pat said, no, I'm putting my foot down. You were riding with the team. These things led to suspensions and just over and over. There was actually a story in there about how Riley said the suspension would be lifted, but Butler had to go to, I believe it was Colorado, to meet with the owner of the Miami Heat, who was out of town for a couple of weeks. And they said, hey, you could speed up the process, but you're going to have to pay your own way. And Jimmy was kind of like, what? Like, you're already taking away hundreds of thousands of dollars from me per day for not playing. And you're not going to give me the courtesy invite for all I've done for this organization. And that's kind of where I see it. Took him to NBA finals, man. 3 conference finals for the Miami Heat. He was their guy. And lately they've just been kind of treating him like one of these guys. It was Hero. It was Bam Adebayo's team. And Jimmy Butler, by the end of it, was being asked to come off the bench. So he said, screw it. I'm not shooting free throws. I'm out of here. You guys don't think I'm a valuable member of this team? See ya. The Warriors think he is very valuable. And the reason he's so valuable is because how he connects with Steph, how he can play with Draymond, and of course, when Jonathan Kuminga comes back, how those two are going to change the game and in terms of attacking the rim and playing inside basketball with those two, and then the kickouts to Hield and Podziemski and Moody and Curry. Let's not forget this team does have some good shooting. You just can't win every game from shooting alone. You need balance. My mom always said it. Chucky, you need some balance in life, son. Balance. That's what the Warriors are going to get with Jimmy Butler on the floor. So how is Butler's presence going to change the way Golden State is playing and lead to an improved Steph Curry? Let's start with that improved Steph Curry, because in his first game with Jimmy Butler, finally shoots it over 52% from the floor. Curry in his last 4 games prior to today had shot it below 38%. He had struggled. He went 13 of 35 in the previous game against the Lakers and 12 of 31 against Utah. Finally, we get some efficiency. 10 of 19 against Chicago, 8 of 16 from 3. Can you point to the opponent? Can you point to just snapping out of a slump? Sure. We need a larger sample size. We'll see in Milwaukee, but it's off to a good start. And I'm a firm believer there. Curry has really struggled the last month or two of this season. Has not been playing his best basketball. The points per game have gone down significantly. Now, I say this, and he scored 37 against the Lakers and 32 against Utah. But again, 37 points on 35 shots. That is nothing to write home about. Curry this year has yet to hit that 40-point threshold that we've seen so many times throughout his career. He's been getting to 36. He's been getting to 38. I think this may help him finally get there with just the way that Jimmy Butler is able to ease some of the pressure off Curry. Those double and triple teams that Curry's getting, where before he's flinging it to Looney or to Peyton to kind of direct things, or Kyle Anderson, now he's flipping it to Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler is going to find a cutting Jonathan Kuminga for a 2-handed slam. Eventually, teams are going to have to guard the Warriors a little bit differently than they have. And now you can count on 2 players giving you 50+ almost every single night. And that doesn't include Kuminga. More on him in a second. But it is a strange topic of conversation because you say, Chuck, Wiggins, he was giving you just about 20+ points per night. But it does go beyond the stat sheet. It does. Easy shots are the key here. Steph, he has the gravity that no one else in this game has ever given you. And that gravity is going to make things easier for Jimmy. Plus, in Jimmy's role right now, he needs to score. They are empowering him to score. He knows what he is here to do. He is here to be 1B. Like it's 1A, 1B with Steph Curry. They are equals right now in different ways. I mean, Curry's obviously, we can go 1-2 if it's not fair to Jimmy to say 1A, 1B. But I mean, he's one of your alphas. You need him. He needs to score. He knows that. And I think he's going to go for 20 a night in this system. I really do. I think having Steph on this team and Draymond to facilitate, it's going to be huge. Jimmy said there's so much space. The game is just simple here. Thank you, Steph Curry. It's going to be easy. Use the words easy. Hey, when Jimmy says something, I kind of believe it. And when Kuminga is back, you can't guard Steph the same way. Like I said, throw him that triple, it's going to turn into the dunk. And you could make the case that Kuminga was going to be the second scorer. And if that's true, you now have another downhill bucket getter when he's back. And we'll see when he comes back. Been a minute now for an ankle injury. But when Kuminga's added the fold, I think he's going to excel learning from Butler. Hell, we saw Curry and Butler kind of coaching each other on the sidelines during the game. Already some palpable energy between the two and some palpable chemistry between the two. I think Jimmy's one of those guys that makes players better around him. He's a tell it how it is kind of guy. And Draymond's that way as well, but they do it in different ways a little bit. And having two of those guys on the same team, it's going to help you out. And I think Steve Kerr's even going to accept it. If Jimmy tells something to Steve Kerr, like there was, who was it? Brett Brown for the Sixers. Jimmy was criticizing some of his plays and film. I think if Jimmy says something to Steve may listen. He just called the guy a lion. They're paying $121 million for this guy. I think everyone on this Warriors team and in this Warriors organization can learn a little bit from Jimmy Butler. He's going to bring some things to the table that the Warriors have not had and just add to the dynamic that Draymond Green gives you. It's going to be fun seeing them together. But the Jonathan Kuminga part of this, the Warriors entering yesterday were 27th in the league in drawing fouls. 27th. They don't get to the charity stripe. JK and Jimmy on the floor together is going to be a masterclass around the rim. And one of these days I'll get Kolsky on and we'll debate what Kuminga's future is in the Bay Area, because as of right now, we all know that it's going to be a weird situation in the offseason. The financial aspect of it when we get into restricted free agency and the fact that the Warriors were going after Kevin Durant, you would have to imagine that Jonathan Kuminga was involved in the fold there, involved in that trade. So he may not be an untouchable, but again, irrelevant. We'll talk about that after the season. But it's going to be a masterclass, those two. Think of how early the Warriors were in the bonus yesterday. And a lot of that is due to Jimmy. If you get a team in the bonus, it affects the way they defend you. It affects the way the game goes as a whole. It slows things down. It eases things up. Steve Kerr said a huge reason yesterday why the Warriors were able to get back into it was getting to the charity stripe. And that is something the Warriors have not done a ton of consistently. We were bickering about it for half of the first half of the season. Is playing like this contagious? Is playing like this contagious? That is the big thing. Because once Jimmy started getting to the free throw line and taking the ball to the hole, it seemed like the Warriors, who were shooting a ton of threes against the Bulls' 26th ranked defense, finally said, hey, maybe we follow this guy and do what he does. Steph said, I'll keep shooting my threes. You guys go do your thing. And they did their thing. I liked it. Notes from Saturday's game. Jimmy needs to be more selfish in the second unit. That can change a little bit when Kuminga returns, but when he's out there with Podziemski and Moses Moody and all these guys, he's got to get to the rim more and quit being so unselfish. But he's an unselfish player. Got to look for his own, though. He exploits switches so well. I wrote that down, and he's a great game examiner. Kalina was talking about that, how he gets better as the game goes on. He kind of sees how the game is going and then finds out the weakness of the other team real time and just pounces on it. So, and then the other thing I wrote down from yesterday's game was there was a 20-second stretch where the Warriors were down 22 in the third quarter. This thing looked to be over. 2 threes. One of them an and 1 3 for Steph. They were back-to-back. One of them was just Steph creating off the dribble. We've seen him do that time and time again. That's just pure talent alone. The second one was Draymond directing traffic. Got him open. Then Buddy bangs the 3. All of a sudden, it's a 12-point game, part of a 56-15 second-half run. Jimmy's setting screens to make a lot of this work. If you're not watching off the ball, you're not noticing the hard screens that Jimmy's setting. But I think you noticed when he set one and got pushed over and then went to the free throw line and knocked down a couple of free throws. You saw the play there, the replay. And I mean, that's something that the Warriors hadn't been doing a great job of earlier in the season, aside from Draymond, really, is setting really good screens. And that is something that he does. All right, coming up on Locked On Warriors, we're going to discuss the buyout market. The Warriors have until March 1st to add some players from that market on their team. Is there anyone available that excites you? Hop into the chat if you're an everydayer on the show, or if you're just a Miami Heat fan tuning in. Hop in the chat and leave some players that you think could benefit the Warriors. Could it be a Kelly Olynyk, a Mo Bamba any of these guys that could potentially be bought out, throw around some names. I will feature them on the show. The road ahead. The Bucks are up next. Let's discuss on Locked On Warriors.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip or want to bet a fourth quarter comeback, you could stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Parlays, folks. A get-rich-quick scheme, and they always work. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether I'm backing my team for a late-game rally, picking a player to hit a clutch three. I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. And right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your one shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Forget that. We champs. Why are you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
All right, coming up for the Warriors, they stay in the Midwest before heading back for a nice little West Coast trip, which is something the Warriors have that they had the long homestand ending with the Orlando Magic, and they've now hit the road for a few games. They are 1-2 during this road trip. But Milwaukee Bucks are an interesting story this season, to say the least. They started the season just poorly. I mean, they were one of the most disappointing teams in basketball. Won the midseason tournament, and next thing you know, the Bucks are 5th in the league right now. They have slumped a little bit in their last 10. They're 4-6, but they've been really good at home, 16-8 on the season. And we get to see their new player for the first time, I believe, unless something has held up the trade. But it's Kyle Kuzma. So they got rid of Chris Middleton. They added Kyle Kuzma into the mix. Brook Lopez still on that team. Obviously, Dame Lillard. Obviously, Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's going to be a challenge. And the Warriors have struggled against the East this season. They really have. Losses to the Heat. They lost to the Nets. They lost to the Raptors. The Warriors have lost twice to the Cavs. They lost to the Celtics. They lost to the Pacers a couple of times. So the Warriors have not been taking care of business against the East, to say the least, especially as of late. So this is going to be a big measuring stick type game to see what the Jimmy Butler edition is at this current moment in a game that Milwaukee's probably going to be a favorite in. Going to be a fun game. Warriors' schedule looks as this coming up. The next 5. It's the Bucks, it's the Mavericks, it's the Rockets, it's the Kings, it's the Mavericks. 5 very losable games, right? You look at all 5 of those teams, the Warriors have lost to each of those, minus the Bucks. So after that, you'll get the Hornets, the Magic, the Sixers, the Hornets, the Pistons, the Trailblazers. So there are some very winnable games coming up. This is a huge 5-game stretch, because it's also a 5-game stretch that's probably going to lead you into the return of Jonathan Kuminga and into the buyout market. This team is still a little bit thin as of right now. And we did see Guy Santos return to the floor last night. That's big in terms of depth as a whole, because the Warriors obviously got rid of Dennis Schroeder. They got rid of Kyle Anderson. They got rid of Lindy Waters and then Andrew Wiggins just to bring in one player. Do the math there. You're depleted a little bit. Now, the nice thing is, we talked about this last night, it forces Steve Kerr into playing guys like Brandon Bajemski, Moses Moody, Quentin Post, just some players that weren't maybe getting as many minutes as you would like to see for their real-time development. And now he's kind of forced to do it. There's no more going to the well and saying, let's give Lindy 10, or let's give Schroeder 25 minutes, or let's give some time here to Kyle Anderson. There's no more of that. You don't have a ton of options right now, and that is going to lead to production by force, essentially, for some of the younger players on this team. And I would imagine many Warriors fans like that. In terms of the buyout market for Golden State, does anyone excite you? I'm looking Chris Middleton right now. Can the Warriors potentially get Middleton? All these guys right now would be speculation. They'd have to be on the market, first of all. Kelly Olynyk is one of the players that a lot of people would like to see. Someone says, hey, go out there and get Steph Curry's brother, Seth. Get some more shooting to the fold. I think the big one that stands out to me, and we've brought this up, we've been hearing it a lot around Warriors Twitter and around Warriors Reddit, is Larry Nance Jr. And what Larry Nance brings to the table is a veteran that is actually shooting threes this year, gives you a little bit of size, and can be connective tissue in an offense that still wants to move the ball. Averaging 8.5 points, 4 rebounds, shooting 51% from the floor and 44% from deep on 3 3-point attempts per game this season, and also has 4 rebounds per game. There's one issue there. He has not been waived yet. And until he's waived, that would be all speculation. All these guys, pretty much. Now, Marcus Smart is a name of someone who's already been waived that you could go out and get. But as Kolsky said yesterday, how much better is Marcus Smart than Gary Payton? He's definitely had better moments. The best of Marcus Smart is better than the best of Gary Payton, most likely. But at this current moment, do you really want to bring in another defensive-minded guard that can't put the ball in the basket if Gary Payton's still on your team? And the answer is probably not. Another name that's interesting is Mo Bamba. It's, someone that gives you some size. Has been very underwhelming, although he does have one of the all-time great songs named after him. So regardless of the fact that he averages 4 points, 4 rebounds in the NBA right now at age 26, he is pretty much a bust at this point. I think it's fair to say that song will never be a bust. I mean, that song just, it slaps every single time. So thank you for that, Mo Bamba. Will Warriors fans be thanking him if he comes in and does anything? In his last game on the 27th of January, that's the last time he played 5 minutes and had 0 points and 0 rebounds. So if that name excites you, I don't know. I mean, Trace Jackson Davis can't even get minutes right now. He got 4 in the past game and hasn't done anything in forever. So I don't know if Mo Bamba would be the name there. The name that I like, and it's because he deserves it, is Kevin Knox, to bring him up to the show. Not on a 2-way contract, has too much NBA service time to be on the team in that regard. But you can sign him to a 10-day, and then you can just give him an outright contract. Now that you have Post, we'd have to see how the financials would work. But that the Warriors are thinking something behind the scenes in terms of getting some more bodies up there. And I mean, this is a proven guy in the NBA. And by proven, I mean, he's played a lot of games. He's played in 300 NBA games. He started 77. He's a former lottery pick. I've touted my time in Kentucky, where I covered him on the Sweet 16 team that he was on. And he was more hyped up back in the day than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, than PJ Washington, than Nick Richards, than Hamidou Diallo, than Quade Green, than all these McDonald's All-Americans that went to UK. Knox was supposed to be that dude. And you can see it from time to time why. I mean, he's 6'8", 215 pounds, and plays the small forward position and likes to shoot a lot. Issues that he's had throughout his career, he shoots a lot and doesn't put the ball in the bucket a lot. He's a career 39% shooter in the NBA, 34% from deep, 72% from the line, averages 7 points and just 2 rebounds per game throughout his 306-game NBA career. 2 rebounds. And it was 2 rebounds in his last 31 games of action a season ago for Detroit. That is not going to cut it if you're 6'8". Not going to cut it. In his rookie season for New York, where he averaged 13, that was his best season. After being the 9th pick in the NBA draft, he averaged 13 that year, shot it 34% from 3, and was grabbing 4.5 rebounds per game. That is the kind of numbers that you would love to see from Kevin Knox. But he's been killing it right now in the G League, killing it, shooting close to 40%, grabbing close to 10 rebounds. We saw him in the summer grabbing a ton of rebounds and just playing scrappier. If Kevin Knox can be that, because he's someone that hovers around the 3-point line often, if he can just go attack the glass, use his size, and space the floor with the ability to knock down some open threes and defend hard, I think he does have a position on this team to be one of your last guys on the bench and give you a little more than what Jackson Rowe gives you. Anyways, we got 10 seconds to round out the show. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everyone. This was a little emergency Sunday show. Jimmy Butler looks good. This is Locked On Warriors. We'll see you after the Bucks game.